the debate that happened in the UK or with members of the UK Parliament, it was good that it happened. Um, my view on all of this is that just about all of the data has been corrupted for the entirety of this time. Um, it's very difficult to make any sort of conclusions when you cannot trust any of the numbers that anyone is using. And so it's a difficult task, to look at a bigger picture and realize just how corrupt the system is, that it's impossible really to gain access to such fundamental information. Um, Yearly uh, data of how many people have died can be skewed in a lot of different ways. And um, I'm not a statistician. Uh, I have an affinity for numbers, and I've learned enough to know that there are techniques that are used, psychological mental head games, to present information that sounds compelling and is fraudulent. And so it's very difficult to deal with what the government is doing right now. Um, there's a different way
Government.
of there's a different way of looking at all of this, okay? And they want us to be afraid of the next pathogen. They want us to be afraid of whatever they're calling disease X. They want us to be afraid of something they're going to find somewhere. Um, but people are dying from diseases that are preventable, um, but they're actually, primarily being caused by bad information from the healthcare system. If you look at COVID, the bad information was, rampant. Don't take this and don't take this and don't take this. You know, take midazolam, a ventilator, remdesivir, Paxlovid, molnupiravir, and the jabs. Um, that's that's murder. And so what people need to realize is that you're being lied to every day about everything. Heart disease, stroke, cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's, toxicity from all kinds of different things. They're trying to divert money and attention away from the things that actually kill people. And with what happened with COVID, my awareness of it, maybe you've heard about the term comorbidities, back a couple of years ago, that was what everybody was on the tip of their tongue. Well, what aligns with comorbidities, that means someone has been diagnosed with, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high sugar, some sort of thing. Anybody who had a number of comorbidities was likely to be taking a number of pharmaceutical medications on a daily basis. And they were statistically the most likely people to die. So, what we're really dealing with here is iatrogenic disease, doctor caused disease. And, it's in the top five for sure. It may very well be number one. And, the ignorance that doctors have for the fundamental things that they could be doing for heart disease, cancer, stroke, and diabetes and Alzheimer's, the whole system is just, slowly or rapidly, not treating people's health, but slowly murdering them. And it's sometimes, you can pay attention to all the trees and you miss the forest. The
Well, I
entire
think
the
this
entire
is,
system is
yeah,
corrupt. Yeah, the
this
entire
is
system
something
is
that
corrupt.
that was discussed in the meeting before Christmas with the six of us, including
Mhm.
two members of the WFA. Um, this Do you think that this might be rectified to if we have if we can get more publicity for the New Zealand situation where this information is available? Of course, it has been anonymized. The things that the British say they can't do have been done in New Zealand, and I don't know. I don't know if you did. You see the video uh, which was organized by the Cafe Lockdown people. It's on Rumble. I can put it up on the link. Of course, I think
I,
it's a.
I only had time to see a part of it. I didn't really get a chance to watch it.
But you saw part of it.
Mhm.
Um, well, I think that's a very good continuation of the previous discussions that have been held around
Mhm.
um, Barry Young,
Mhm.
um, and well, uh, what 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 I'm trying to do, I think I don't know if you also saw the uh, the letter that I sent to the office of the former Prime Minister of Australia, Paul Keating. Did you notice that?
I'll have to admit, I saw it. If you could explain to me what you were trying to get across to me for me to understand it, I'd welcome that.
All right. Well, I'll try and explain it now because there's been continuation about that too. Um, what Liz Gunn has said is that she wants Winston Peters, who used to be the foreign minister
Mhm.
of in New Zealand. He's
Mhm.
of Maori or part Maori origin, but
Mhm.
anyway, he had a reputation of being a very iconoclastic person, but he's also a power politician, of course.
Mhm.
Anyway, Liz Gunn has been appealing to Winston Peters to support Barry Young,
Mhm.
and he's in government again now, and the predictable has happened, and he's gone quiet. He's not corresponding. He's not saying anything. Now, I initially tried to bring to bring some people that I knew at school, including one Vietnam veteran, into the discussion. I think what he had to say was very interesting, but it's a bit of a diversion now for me to talk about that. I'll talk
Mhm.
about what happened. What happened when I recontacted the office of Paul Keating. Of course, I've been in touch with that office sometime in the past because um, there was a kind of public discussion about Australian policy, and Paul Keating, who used to be the Prime Minister, and he's a Labor Party man, although he's got
Mhm.
nothing to do with the way the Labor Party is now. That doesn't mean that he's a socialist. I mean, he was really a Thatcherite, but it was the previous stage of degeneration of the Labour Party. And now he's saying things that are regarded as very subversive because he's saying that the way Australian policy is just tail ending everything the Americans and NATO are saying.
Mhm.
He's opposing this. He's also all of his life he has had the all of his political life. Since he was young, of course, he came into politics very young. Um, has been based around the idea that Australia is a part of Asia. This is
Mhm.
something, of course, this meant something very different 50 years ago because
Mhm.
China wasn't the way that it is now. But anyway, I I have tried to get Paul Keating to do what Liz Gunn wants. That
Mhm.
is to say to Winston Peters that he should support uh, Barry Young. Now, I haven't got any feedback on this yet, but I think we should multiply the pressures to try and help Liz Gunn to get the kind of response that she wants from the New Zealand politician Winston Peters that will help um, get Barry Young out of the relative isolation that he's in. I think I indicated this in the meeting that we had before Christmas, that even though he's getting a lot of support in New Zealand,
Mhm.
um, he,
Wayne, may James comment on this first part you
well,
explained?
yeah, all right, yes, of course.
No, I would keep going with your story.
Well, I'll keep going. All right. Well, look, apart from this opening to the office of Paul Keating, and I think I can give you contact. It might be good for you to try and do the same thing that I did. I mean, I rang up the office again last night. And I only got into an answering machine, but I mean, it was I left a message there, and they're asking for people to leave messages so that they can, it's a bit different to what they were doing 6 months ago. But I think that they're still potentially open. And another thing that's happened since then is from Del Bigtree's office. Del Bigtree's office also sent a message this morning, and I'm asking them to do the same thing. That is, I'm referring them to Paul Keating and saying, Paul Keating, contact Winston Peters and get Winston Peters to do what Liz wants him to do. That is to support Barry Young. Now, I don't know, is that enough? Is that enough information, James, or should I elaborate even further?
I mean, that confirms what you sent me. I did see that. I'm generally an advocate for bottom-up action as opposed to top-down. Many times people put all of their hope in one politician who universally disappoints. Okay. I think ultimately what we need to do is have many, many, many more allies. One or two people of, in some authority to try to support somebody. Yes, if you can make that happen, that's wonderful. But, the issue really is, what about the other couple of million people in New Zealand, or in Greece or the United States or wherever? If 1,000 people were leaving messages.
Well, leaving messages where though? I mean,
the very same thing that you're asking Del Bigtree and myself and the other gentleman. Numbers as opposed to counting on trying to influence a specific person. Getting that in, I have to admit, the way the information was presented originally by Barry and Liz, I think most people found it confusing and difficult. It needed to be clearly shared with the public, and I don't know that if you went and asked anybody, I don't know that I could tell you, what was the message? What was the clear message? Yes, okay, deaths occurred, but it didn't come across clearly, so it doesn't have the support that maybe it deserves, because it's confusing.
Well, that's interesting, and so the problem is not what I'm doing. The problem is what Liz and Barry are doing.
I suppose you could put it that way, and even what happened with Andrew Bridgen and all of that information. People's attention span is getting shorter and shorter and shorter, and it dismays me. I don't like catering to that, and I generally don't. But while you're giving the deeper, bigger information, people need to have the take-home message, right? What is it that they're saying that you can say in 30 seconds so that when people go to look deeper, they have context? Okay. And I don't know, I mean, I can't really say, I mean, other than in the most general of terms, what is the smoking gun, no pun intended, that Liz Gunn was trying to present with all of this data. What was the take-home message? Okay, yes, people are dying, but can anybody hear?
People are dying, but specific people are dying, and there's specific information available, and they're being killed by specific people. Um, this is the
with almost anything, okay? And I don't like this. I don't ascribe to this. It really bothers me. But every time I talk to somebody who, wants to talk to some politician, they say you've got to give them a one-sheet brief, right? You put one sheet of paper in them, a couple of bullet points, and if you don't have that, they can't comprehend it. And people are the same way. Okay. Has Liz Gunn, maybe she has, and I just missed it. And, I'm not trying to criticize. Where's the one sheeter that says, here's the facts, here's what we want? If you can't put that on a piece of paper that the next person could make a copy of and give to the next person and to the next person and to the next person, it doesn't go anywhere because people can't figure it out.
Well, Liz Gunn, of course, is a would-be politician. She's the head of a political party, and she's not alone, because there are lots of these small parties like this, and so far, she hasn't been any more successful than their equivalent in Greece, for example.
What I'm saying is the same thing for you, Wayne. Okay, what is it that you want? Condense it down to one piece of paper. Get your point across in one piece of paper. You send an email to whomever you want to send it to. You say, there's a PDF, it's got one page on it. That's what I want. Crystal clear. Okay, here's the facts. Here's what I want you to do. Couple of headers, couple of bullet points. People don't have time. They don't have the energy. Go ahead, Vivian.
Vivian wants to say something.
I kind of totally understand what you're saying, James, because what we've had, especially lately in the past year, is information overload from both sides. Too much is going on. And my personal feeling is a lot is going on in order to divide, so people can have their opinion on whatever issue it is, be it the war, be it the jab, be it whatever. And it makes them, basically that's what they want, in order to create chaos, division, so people cannot sit and say, and turn around and say, you are doing this to us. There's no time. They don't know where to turn. I mean, one, we have the digital IDs, especially here in Greece, the currency, the war. The Greek government is sending a Navy ship over to the Middle East. I mean, there is just so much going on that we need a one-pager. We need a one-pager in order to have people breathe and see the big picture, because people are not, well, they're still inflicting fear among everyone as well. So I just wanted to express that. So what you're saying makes a lot of sense to me personally.
Look, there's one factor that perhaps should be introduced now. This is something that I have said. I've said in opposition to other people in working with the WFA. It's the possibility of provocation. That what is happening, that there's an element of provocation, and that some of the people who are engaged in all this behavior are really trying to produce the opposite effect. Now, there are a number of things that could be said about that. I mean, Klaus Schwab. Why has Klaus Schwab been put as the front man of all this? He's a James Bond villain. Why do you put a James Bond villain in charge of something that you want people to support? There's this book has just arrived today. This is from Monica, who's, Monica Smith. I haven't read the book. I only got it today. It just arrived in the post. I don't know if you had anything to say about Monica Smith, James, but she's been here. I think, she probably, she's going to do something that's less demanding, I think, from now on. But in any case, this is something, this idea of provocation is something that I've talked about with her. I haven't persuaded her, I don't think, so far. But anyway, should this possibility be entertained, that there are some people who are involved in doing all this? I mean, it's so extreme. Certainly, I think what happened with Monica Smith is provocation. What happened to her in Melbourne was insane. If the Victorian state government was trying to do something that would impress anybody, just suddenly introducing a police state from one day to the next, to me, I find it very hard to understand what the motives are. If the motives are entirely malicious, I don't know if you've ever thought about this, James. Do you think that someone like Jacinda Ardern, in all of these people had good reputations. Jacinda was, and even Trudeau and that. These people had good reputations. Why is it that the lefties suddenly turned into the baddies? Is it because why has the left been focused? Why has the left been corrupted even more than the right? I mean, is this a party political initiative in order to discredit the left for party political reasons? What's the motive behind it all? Jacinda Ardern, she's what she's doing now after she's left the prime ministership. She's buying up a lot of property in that, because all of these people have been bought off. I might say, James, that this discussion that you just saw the beginnings of, they talk very much. They talk very much about the way that people have been paid off at every level. But it was that the motive of someone like Jacinda, who had a good reputation? Is she interested only in money? Or is there some other kind of very weird Machiavellian logic behind everything that's been going on? Have you thought about this at all, James?
Well, as a general rule, I don't speculate. I don't go into people's intent. I don't talk about stuff that is something I can't prove. What I've been focusing on is they do a lot of telling us exactly what their plans are.
That's right.
Knowing
that's provocative also.
Well, knowing that most people are not going to pay attention. And so, with all of the health related things, okay, it's astonishing that the general average person is unable to see the corruption. And so my general approach, right, is to not try to convince people who don't want to be convinced. Whatever the issue may be that you're focused on, if you present your case to whomever and you say, this is the facts that I'm dealing with, this is what I want. If you're willing to help, let me know. If you're not, move on and find the people who want the same thing that you're working for. I think it's far more effective. Okay. If you walked into a room and there were 200 people there, and I'm just making up a story. You walked into a room, there's 200 people there, and you wanted to talk about gardening. Okay. You could go up to the first person and start talking to them about gardening, and you might get lucky. They might be interested. They might have a garden. It might be a wonderful conversation. But maybe there's only one person in the room who's interested in gardening. You have to go through 199 of them, on average, half of them, 100. Whereas what you could say is, here's what my concern is, here's what I want to talk about. I'm going to go stand over there in the corner. If anybody wants to talk about gardening, come on over here and talk to me. Okay. If you put it out to everybody and you say, who's concerned about this issue? You're lucky to get 1 out of 200. But what most people do is they try to convince the first person they talk to, they try to convince the other 199. When there's one person out there who's ready to help and do what you want to do, but people are trying to convince a certain person, like Liz Gunn trying to convince this person. And I saw weeks ago, her father did something.
Who is she trying to convince, James? Who is Liz trying to convince?
Well, whatever you're talking about.
Yeah, well, it's not what she is trying to convince. It's someone trying to convince, the opposite.
Well,
convincing Liz.
Hold on. If I completely misunderstand, I thought that's what you were talking about, that she's trying to get, I don't remember the gentleman's name.
Paul Keating. That's not her idea. It's mine.
Okay.
Well, I have introduced Paul Keating in order to, as an attempt to try and do some. All right, sorry. Look, it was my idea because she said she is trying to persuade another politician that she knows, and he has not responded.
That's my point.
What I thought was, is it worthwhile trying to get a prestigious person like a former Prime Minister of Australia
that's my point.
Yeah.
She's trying to convince a person. She's putting all her hopes into convincing a person. She said something weeks ago about her father stood up for him in the past, or whatever the heck it was.
That's right. Yes, Peters.
That's a waste of time. It's obviously not working.
Winston Peters. She thought that because he was a friend of hers.
Find people who support the cause and work with them. Don't put energy into her attempts to try to convince one person. It's this sort of savior complex.
Well, look, what she's trying to do is to work to set up her party. She's a party leader. Now, the problem with that is the problem that we've seen with all the small parties. I mean, there are lots of small parties like NZ Loyal. In Greece, they've all been unsuccessful. Liz is also unsuccessful. But this is not a problem of her trying to persuade Winston Peters. I mean, Winston Peters is just one idea. She's trying to set up a party, and there's a problem there. There is a problem because all of these little parties are unsuccessful.
That's a general rule. I mean, it's not a bad thing. So the energy, in my view, you have to decide what is it that you want people to rally around. Getting people around the world to do one thing is nearly impossible. And so, the focus is better on making human connections, identifying what each individual person is ready to do, is passionate about, and working with that human being as a friend, as an individual person. And so I'm not really clear on, WFA and the purpose and the goals and all that sort of thing. It seems like this is pulling you away on a tangent. I don't really know, but it seems like this is doing exactly what you mentioned earlier. It's pulling the energy out of whatever it is you might maybe be better focused on. Go ahead, Vivian.
Well, I think it'd be good for the people who are, the official representatives of WFA in Greece to say something in defense of WFA.
That's why I raised my hand, Wayne.
Yes.
I just want to clarify, these are not Wayne, your views are not the views of WFA Greece, first of all.
Yes.
Okay. Second of all, we take the position that we have a responsibility to inform people and to connect like-minded people and groups in order to get the message out That is our role, and we've been quite successful in doing that. Please correct me if you want to add something, Nico. Please feel free.
Yes, I agree with James. On the other hand, having Wayne in Greece, he's Australian, he has an experience of this part of the world and of the history and recent decades, let's say. And I don't reject, let's say, asking having similar proposals. Of course, I don't know very well the situation there, but it's always good having the information about what's going on and what probably can be done. I mean, as we try to lobby parliamentarians and other people here, why not try to do it also there? I think it's some the positive, and on the other hand, the positive of technology that we can connect with people even in the other side of in the opposite side of Greece, let's say. Yes, but it's all a discussion, and yes, that's my opinion.
Yes, it
Anyway.
is a discussion,
Yeah.
but in addition to what Nico is saying, there is a tendency, at least here in Greece, not to have any support from any political party, maybe one very small party in parliament right now. We're not sure yet. We still need to check it out. And one other small party, again, a small party, that was not voted in this time around. So WFA Greece is not a political party, first of all. Second of all, like we said, we need to get people, because with everything that's been going on in the past 3-4 years, there is no left and right anymore. It's gone. That era is gone. It's died. So I think a lot of the people that are against this global agenda are really trying very hard, some struggling to understand, and others trying to help and guide other people in giving out the message. So sometimes being, I don't want to say passive, because we can't be passive about this serious global agenda, but taking a different position in spreading the word might be the new norm, because left and right doesn't exist anymore. I mean, we've seen it, especially in the States, completely different. And we've seen it in Europe, and especially here in Greece, especially.
Yeah.
Those are my...
Yeah, thanks, Vivian. Thank you. James, what do you think of Logan Courtney, who participated in the discussion that we had before Christmas? He's an example of well, of course, he's Liz Gunn's right-hand man. Do you think that there's anything wrong with his approach, or do you think it was a good approach? Sorry, you're turned off.
You're stretching my memory, and my memory for names is very bad. So I honestly don't know.
He was the guy with the heavy New Zealand accent. Yeah.
I can't comment on it because honestly, I simply can't recall.
All right. Okay. Sorry. All right. We'll start again.
I've had some good dealings with Liz Gunn. I did a lot of work to help promote what she was doing with Baby Will a year ago.
Yeah.
But I'll just repeat again. I don't personally focus on whether you want to call them personalities or politicians or whatever. I'm way more focused on from the ground up, regular people having those communications, trying to inform them to the best of my ability on whatever the topic may be, and actually listening. This is one of the problems, I think. I would venture to guess that the vast majority of people feel that nobody listens to them.
Yeah.
And if you ask questions and listen and can adapt to the answers that you get, okay, and tailor what you're doing with any given person. I think, Vivian, you said something about a different way. When you're trying to push on a door that opens out, it doesn't work. Okay. Sometimes you have to back up and let that person say what they want to say and listen and find the area where you can collaborate. Because most people don't want to do what I want to do. I'm different. I'm unique. I'm me. If I find somebody who's interested in what I want, that's great. But if I find somebody who's interested in something that I'm interested in, even though it's not my primary thing, then I talk about that. And so what happens is when everybody's laser focused and they're trying to get people to do whatever, it's just very simple marketing, right? If you were trying to sell a used car, would you go up and down the street knocking on your neighbor's door saying, hey, do you want to buy my used car? Do you want to buy my used car? Do you want to buy my used car? You'd advertise it in some fashion, either in a newspaper or online, and thousands of people might see your ad, and one or two people will call because they're looking for what you're selling. We're trying to sell people things that they're not looking to buy. We have to find out what they want to buy. What is it that they want? Maybe they're worried about their children. Maybe they're worried about Klaus Schwab. Maybe they're worried about paying the bills. Maybe they're worried about their health. If you try to give people what they want, which is in alignment with what you're doing, it's not the same answer to everybody. And then you can cast a bigger net and talk to this person about that and reach out to that, So having a questionnaire, having a word I'm looking for, having a poll, or just having something where you're taking input rather than pushing. That's what
Right.
I see people not doing. What I see people not doing.
Do you think you understand what this group here is doing? I mean, as Vivian said, I mean, there's a kind of a lack of homogeneity even among the three of us. But do you? And you've said that you don't know what the WFA represents. As a matter of fact, I think there is the same lack of homogeneity in WFA in general. But anyway,
it's the beauty. It's the beauty of life. Everyone is different. Okay?
Of course.
So the problem that we're facing is, one world government, one way of doing everything, one health, one solution for every problem. The exact opposite of that is decentralizing and customizing. Okay. And so whomever it is you're talking to, if you go, well, what is it that's most important to you? And how does that fit into this grand scheme of things? Now, you might be able to talk to anybody about anything, find out what it is that they are most concerned about, and go, oh, well, maybe you want to know about the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 7, or whatever it might be. And, that's in direct opposition to what it is you want. Or, maybe something from Klaus Schwab's website of what he wants to do, which is in direct opposition to what that person wants. If you listen first and identify a solution for that person, it's easier. But if you want everyone to be on board with, politicians generally don't do anything unless, and maybe even if, there's a mob outside their door, banging their door down. A lot of people saying this is what we want. Now, peacefully, but one person making a phone call to try to influence somebody just doesn't work. You need numbers. You need organization. If you just had 10 people and you said, all right, we'll pick 10 times during the day and we're going to all call the same person, right? And every day, one person calls him at 9 a.m., another person calls him at 9:30, another person calls him at 10, right? And you give them the same message over and over and over and over and over. That's classic propaganda, classic advertising. Repeat the same message. If you get 10 people who want to do the same thing, that's all you really need. You get 10 people to gang up on one person to nag them. I mean, it's just nagging. Everybody knows that nagging works, right? But it starts with identifying a bigger group, a bigger team. How many people can you get to do the same thing? I, for what it's worth, oh heck, almost a year ago now, it was a while ago. I noticed that John Campbell, do you know who John Campbell is in
Yes,
the UK?
very impressive.
I noticed that normally he was talking about health, but then he started talking about the WHO. And I said, oh, well, if he's going to talk about the WHO, I think I could help out. He was not covering all the details. And so I crowdsourced with my subscriber base. And I said, look, can everybody just call John Campbell and give him this information and let him know I'd love to talk to him and do an interview? Day and a half later, he called me and we had an interview. It's great. Okay. Get a group of people, choose a target, focus on it, do that until you're successful, and then pick a different target.
Well, as far as this politician Keating is concerned, what I focused on was
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't care.
Yeah, but look,
no.
It's
No,
not just concerning him. It has to do with the geopolitical confrontation in the world at the moment.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Trying to convince somebody is the antithesis of what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I'm not trying to convince him.
People. Well, yes,
no,
you are.
I'm not.
Yes, you are. Wayne.
Well,
yes, you are.
I was talking. I was oriented towards someone that I knew at school who had gone to fight in Vietnam, and maybe I should say what he said to me. He said, "Sorry, but I'm not the one to approach any politician." But he said some other things. Australia needs to align itself with a power like most other small countries. We've consistently chosen the UK and the USA. That now includes NATO and Japan. China is clearly a bully. We need to stand up to them. To align ourselves now with China, or more accurately, to kowtow to them, would be gross folly. Going along with the USA and NATO has its risks and sometimes gets us involved in dubious ventures, such as Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, Ukraine, possibly. But it also sometimes helps, such as in WW2. The world is changing. The BRICS bloc is developing into a possible rival with Euro-NATO. I would say we should not entertain thoughts about joining the BRICS bloc. Well, there you are. I think that's perfectly clear. Someone who does not think that it's a good idea to try and align himself with China, but who is he's worried about the direction of geopolitics. Now, that is very concrete. I don't know what you think about that, but I don't know what you think about that, but that is a very specific problematic of that particular person. Now, is it relevant or irrelevant? But is one wasting one's time? Would I be wasting my time going and talking to him as I did, or in the same logic as what you do? I was doing what you do. when you try and find out what someone's interested in and what someone wants. Now, in the case of the geopolitical situation, is that a waste of time, or was there some point in my doing that, which is, as I said, exactly the kind of thing that you do with people? Sorry, you have to turn your mic on. James?
I don't know that it's exactly what I do. I don't know that I accept that comparison. It's always good to talk to people, but if you took a summary of his statement and said to everyone, here's what this person said. Do you agree with that or do you disagree with that? Okay. I'm trying to find the thing that you sent me about what he wrote, because there seemed to be a little bit of confusion in there.
It was ambivalent. Ambivalence.
Well, with between China and BRICS, because China's part of BRICS. So,
no, between NATO and BRICS. He's a Vietnam veteran, and he doesn't want to abandon. I mean, he doesn't think that the USA is so bad. He went to fight in Vietnam.
Right. The point I'm making is this amount of energy coming from Liz Gunn trying to convince whoever it was that she was trying to convince. I don't operate.
Winston Peters.
Thank you. I don't operate trying to convince people. I identify allies. And
that's what she thought he was an ally, but he's a politician.
There you go. Vivian, you had your hand up. I don't know if you still do. Yeah.
I have to leave in about 5 minutes, but basically, James, what you're saying, it's energy and decentralization. I mean, nothing can be the same everywhere because of weather conditions, because of spirituality, because of people's idiosyncrasy. I mean, we cannot have a one program agenda. That defeats what they're trying to say, accept diversity. That defeats diversity. That diversity is gone. There's no melting pot anymore. Also, from what I've noticed, especially in the States, wokeism is extremely aggressive towards free thought, academic freedom, any way of trying to have a conversation, a discussion. People have been attacked, they've been accused, they've been labeled. That is just the beginning. And what will happen after that? Will you be penalized economically? Will you be penalized taking certain rights being taken away from you? Excuse me, that's my doorbell. To emphasize that, I'll be right with you. One moment.
And I do have to go in 5 minutes as well.
I think
Wayne, what is the?
We don't like going over the hour anyway. Sorry, go on.
What is your goal to achieve? Support for Barry Young, I imagine, is the ultimate support. Is that the ultimate goal?
I think that Barry Young should be supported, yes, but because I think that it's more powerful. What he has discovered or what he has made public is more potential than what is being acknowledged.
The best way to support him as a starting point, okay, now maybe it already exists, but where's the one-page document with the more detailed document behind it making his case? Okay, if he has a clear focused presentation of his case, and I don't mean a court case, I mean, presenting the data.
Well, that is his case. The court case is his case.
Well, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is he's got a bunch of data. He's trying to share that with the world. Where's the one sheeter that the average man or woman could comprehend? If you have that, then you can help him and you can share it with people, and people who accept it will be supportive of him. But I don't think they did a good job of making his case. Everybody came away confused. Where's the one sheeter to present what they're trying to present? Oh, it's too confused.
Okay, well, that's a viewpoint that I think it'd be good for them to discuss. That's something that the NZ loyal people can discuss, and I will try and discuss it with them. Your criticism.
It's a suggestion. I wouldn't present it as a criticism. Maybe it exists, and I just haven't seen it. Okay, could be out there.
Yeah.
But if you present that to somebody, and they read it, and they go, "Oh my goodness, this man's a hero. Look at all this information," then it can be duplicated. But the way it is right now, it's all confusing, and people can't handle it. I don't know how to summarize what he's trying to say.
Okay, well, I hope you don't feel that this meeting has been a waste of time.
I've learned plenty, and it's nice to talk to all you.
I'm sorry to be getting you up at this time, but it's inevitable.
I never went to sleep. I'm going to go to sleep now.
All right.